a heartbreaking story from Prince George, British Columbia, where a young boy's life was tragically cut short. 12-year-old Carson Cleland became a victim of a cruel form of online manipulation known as sextortion, leading to his untimely death by suicide. This devastating case has plunged a family into deep grief and raised urgent concerns about the dark side of digital interactions and the vulnerability of children online. On this channel, we discuss complex and sensitive issues to bring awareness and understanding. If you care about important social topics, consider subscribing to stay informed. Now, let's explore the events that led to this tragedy and discuss what it means for our society. Carson was a lively, carefree child, like many others, navigating the challenges of growing up in a digital world. His story is a stark reminder of the hidden dangers behind our screens, a modern threat that's becoming all too common but remains poorly understood. Stay with us as we delve into this case, examining the societal, technological, and personal factors that led to this heartbreaking loss. A glimpse into Carson's world in the small, tightly knit community of Prince George. Carson Cleland was known as a spirited and joyful child, full of life and enthusiasm. Born into a loving family, he was the youngest of 3 siblings, each of whom shared a close bond that was nurtured by family outings, shared hobbies, and mutual support. Carson's early years were marked by typical childhood pleasures, soccer games in the local park, weekend family barbecues, and a budding interest in technology that was common among his peers. As Carson transitioned from elementary to middle school, his parents noticed his increasing fascination with digital gadgets, a trait that mirrored the technological inclinations of his generation. This interest was not just limited to gaming. Carson was also keenly exploring the world of social media, where he connected with friends and engaged in conversations beyond the geographical confines of his small town. However, beneath the surface of this digital exploration lay vulnerabilities that are often overlooked in the excitement of connectivity. As Carson ventured further into the online world, the protective bubble of childhood began to intersect with the realities of the internet, a space where anonymity often masks intentions, and where youthful naivety can become a significant liability. This section of Carson's life paints a picture of a typical modern childhood, one increasingly lived online. Yet it also sets the stage for the complexities and dangers that would later engulf his life. The story of Carson is not just a tale of individual tragedy. It is a reflection of a common and growing challenge faced by families navigating the digital age. The descent into digital darkness as Carson's involvement with digital platforms grew. His online activities, which initially were sources of entertainment and learning, began to shift subtly. What started as innocent interactions with peers and new online acquaintances gradually exposed Carson to the darker underbelly of the internet. It was here, in this less visible segment of the web, that Carson encountered the phenomenon of sextortion, a serious form of exploitation that preys on the vulnerable and unsuspecting. Sextortion typically begins with an apparent benign new friendship online. For Carson, it started with a connection he made on a social media platform commonly used by teens to share daily activities and interests. This new friend quickly gained Carson's trust by engaging in regular conversations, showing interest in his hobbies, and empathizing with his day-to-day experiences. As their interaction deepened, the discussions subtly moved towards more personal and sensitive topics. Unbeknownst to Carson, his new friend was meticulously building a profile of his vulnerabilities and insecurities, paving the way for exploitation. The turning point came when this individual, exploiting the trust and rapport they had developed, manipulated Carson into sharing personal information and images under false pretenses. It was these materials that would later be used to threaten and coerce him. This phase of Carson's journey into the digital world highlights a critical and often overlooked danger of online interactions. It underscores the importance of educating young internet users about the risks of sharing personal information and the importance of maintaining privacy online. The story of Carson serves as a stark reminder of how quickly and seamlessly exploitation can manifest in the digital age, often catching individuals and their families unprepared for its consequences. The crisis unfolds as the reality of the situation dawned on Carson. The dynamics of his day-to-day life began to change dramatically. The threats of exposure overtook his initial embarrassment and confusion, transforming into a pervasive fear that consumed his thoughts and emotions. The perpetrator, wielding the power of Carson's shared secrets, demanded further concessions under the threat of releasing the sensitive content to his peers and family. This threat escalated into a nightmare scenario for Carson, a boy who had barely stepped into adolescence. The psychological toll of sextortion is profound, particularly on the young and vulnerable. For Carson, it manifested in withdrawal from his usual activities and an increasing sense of isolation. His parents, initially attributing these changes to typical teenage mood swings. Soon realized the depth of his distress when his academic performance began to falter, and his vibrant personality dimmed. The transformation was stark and distressing, highlighting the insidious impact of online exploitation on mental health. The breaking point came when the demands and threats reached an unbearable intensity. Feeling trapped and unable to see a way out, Carson's perception of his situation became increasingly hopeless. This period of Carson's life reflects a critical juncture where the signs of digital distress could have been intercepted but were unfortunately missed until it was too late. Carson's story underscores the urgent need for vigilance and open communication channels between children and parents about online activities. It serves as a poignant reminder of the potential dangers lurking behind seemingly harmless interactions and the devastating impact they can have on young lives. Family and community response in the wake of Carson's tragic decision. His family was left to grapple with a profound and unbearable loss. Their grief was compounded by the shocking revelation of the circumstances that led to his suicide. As they pieced together the sequence of events from Carson's digital footprint, the depth of his silent struggle came into distressing clarity. This discovery propelled Carson's family to take action, not only to cope with their own loss but also to prevent such tragedies from befalling other families. Carson's parents became outspoken advocates for stronger protections against online exploitation, particularly for children and teenagers. They worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the dangers of sextortion, sharing their son's story with local schools, community groups, and through media outlets. Their advocacy highlighted a critical gap in digital education and called for comprehensive programs to teach children about online safety. Moreover, the community in Prince George rallied around the Cleland family, spurred into action by the tragedy. Local schools implemented new curriculums focused on digital citizenship and internet safety. Workshops and seminars became regular events, aiming to equip both students and parents with the knowledge and tools needed to navigate the complex digital world safely. This collective response underscored a community's resolve to transform grief into proactive change. It also sparked broader discussions on national and international platforms about the need for more stringent online safety measures and support systems for young internet users. Legislative action and final reflections. The tragedy of Carson Cleland not only galvanized his family and community but also caught the attention of policymakers. Moved by Carson's story and the advocacy work of his parents, legislation began to take shape aimed at bolstering the protection of minors online. These legislative efforts focused on creating stricter penalties for digital crimes against children and enhancing the tools available to law enforcement to track and prosecute online predators. As these policies were debated and refined, they sparked a national conversation about the balance between internet freedom and the need for robust safeguards. Educators, legal experts, parents, and young people contributed to this discourse, each bringing valuable perspectives on how to create a safer digital landscape. Reflecting on Carson's story, it becomes evident that the internet, while a platform for education and connection, also presents real risks. This narrative serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of vigilance in the digital age. It compels us to consider how we, as a society, can better educate and protect our youngest and most vulnerable citizens. In conclusion, while the internet is a tool of immense power and potential, it demands a corresponding level of responsibility from all stakeholders involved. The legacy of Carson Cleland is a testament to the impact that one life can have on prompting societal change. It is a call to action for continuous and collaborative efforts to ensure that the digital world is a safe space for all who navigate it.